All right, welcome everyone to Budget Breakdown. This is the podcast where we get to know our guests not by them introducing themselves, but rather through their numbers, through their budget, and through their financial priorities. I'm your host, Zach Welchel, founder of MyBudgetCoach, and our guest here with us today. Guest, I'll let you go ahead and introduce yourself, but not too much. Don't give us too much. We want to kind of keep it a mystery, so I'll let you say hi.
Hello.
All right, all right. Well, for those of you who are watching, our guest is wearing a shirt that might be a little bit revealing, a little bit of a clue there on the shirt. But for those of you listening, we'll keep that a secret as well. So thanks for being on the show today. Let's go ahead and look into your budget. So you've got a bunch of different categories here. It looks like you've got maybe 4 or 5 main category groups. Your first category group is called flexible necessities. And the first ones we got here are things like groceries, household supplies, eating out, clothing, health and wellness. I'm curious, is there a reason why you have these at the top of your budget? And then do you want to dive in and talk a little bit about each of them?
Sure. So I put a lot of thought into I have four big categories that have all my subcategories in. So for the first one, flexible necessities, these are things we have to spend money on. Groceries, technically eating out, not really, but with busy life, 3 kids, it will happen. Clothing, gas, stuff like that. Like it's not really realistic to not spend money in these categories. We're going to do it each month. So they're necessities, but also we do have some level of control over how much we spend in these areas. Even stuff like once you get down to like our water bill, electric bill, natural gas bill, there's some level of control. You could choose to change the thermostat or, and it's going to be flexible up and down. So it really distinguishes between like a later category, where like everything's really fixed. It's exactly the same each month. But all these are going to change month to month, and to either some degree or a big degree, we have control over how much we spend in these areas, but it won't be zero.
Got it. Yeah, that makes sense. I think my wife and I call these something like sweepable categories in the sense that, like, if we do well in them, we could sweep the extra money somewhere else. But you're right, like, it is a necessity, but like, you do still have some control over it. So the first one you've got here is groceries, and you've got this was, I believe, August or last month was this September's budget.
This was, I went with August because I need to finish categorizing the last couple of days in September. So,
Got it. Yeah,
yeah.
it's October. It's October 1st at the time we're filming this, so you probably haven't had a chance to sit down and close out September yet. So, all right. So for August, it looks like you've set aside 901.92 for groceries. Is that about like average for you guys, or I think you mentioned you had some children.
Yes, I have 3 children, 4 and under. Um, so I guess only 2 mouths to feed because the youngest one is not eating solid foods yet. So maybe we'll have to adjust our spending once he's eating food. But on the screenshot I sent you, you can't really see our target amount, how much like we fund at the beginning of the month. But we actually we set aside $900 a month. We pre-plan for $900 in groceries. So
So
this
you
is
went.
like, yeah,
This is
about as
great. You
close
went
as
over
we can
by a
get.
dollar 92. I'm curious. Do you do it per month or do you do it per week for those months that have like a 5 week month?
We do it per month. Um, yeah, I guess because we're big Costco people, so randomly we have like a you know $400 expense for like groceries and household supplies. So the week we don't really track it week to week.
Got it. Okay, so you're big Costco people. Like, what is the draw for Costco? I feel like Costco people are very loyal, and they usually have a reason they're loyal. Like, what's your thing about Costco?
Our thing about Costco is a lot of the baby stuff. Big Kirkland diaper and white people. I don't know.
Okay,
They, TMI, but just feel like they don't blow out like a lot of like other brands we've used. So,
okay,
but we had just specific foods there we like to. I buy like huge 20-pound bags of rice and 10-pound bags of like oatmeal. Um, I think it's good quality and it's actually cheaper than like stuff you're getting at Walmart.
nice, awesome, cool. Okay, so household supplies is next, and you spend about 153.49 in August. Is most of your you mentioned like household supplies as Costco too. So do you guys make a habit of like splitting out those transactions when you come home from Costco, or what does that look like for you guys?
Yeah, that's my job. I'm all like that's a little bit tedious, but yeah, it's just keeping receipts, going through. Maybe not off by a few dollars when you get into like figuring out how much tax is going to one to the other, but yeah, just separating out. In Costco, we're usually having to split between like groceries, household supplies, clothing. I think there's one other category Costco stuff can fall into. I'm trying to
So
think. I
is
got
eating out? Do you get the hot dogs?
We do. I'm a pizza guy. I do
Oh,
big
wow.
slice of
Okay.
pizza, but
Okay.
and then I bought like car oil at Costco last weekend while I was there, so that had to go in a different category. That was in September though.
Did you get like 30 gallons of car oil?
How many like yeah, probably I don't know, 24
Oh,
quarts,
wow. Okay. Wow. All
whatever. I
right.
don't know quarts to gallons. I have no idea. But yeah, probably like
Cool.
four or five car oil changes I got.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. Wow. So you do Costco in bulk, so you do it the right
Yes.
way.
Yeah. Yeah, the car oil was on sale, so it saved like $10 per like two jugs. So get it while it's on
That's
sale.
Yeah, that's cool. And with budgeting, like you can kind of account for that, right? Like you can like see that that's been spent out of a category and build back up for it or have built up for it. So that's cool.
Right.
Okay, so with eating out, you've got 342.87. I feel like that's pretty low. That's pretty good for a family your
We're
size. Or
we're
how do you
over.
feel about it?
We recently dropped our budget. We were at like we're usually assigning like 250 to that category. We've had some months in July we spent $91 eating out. It was like an all-time low.
Wow.
Yeah. In August and September, we've been traveling a lot back and forth to Illinois to see my wife's family. Um, and her father-in-law has some like health complications, so we're going up there all the time. So a lot of eating out while we're up there, like gas station food on the way, that kind of stuff. So
Got it.
and
Yeah.
I consider eating out as all food we buy that's not from a grocery store. So like if you stop at a gas station and you get snacks, that's going under eating out.
Okay. Okay. Cool. Clothing, you've got 186.90 here.
Yes, and that was, let me see, that was, a lot of that was Costco and some stuff on Temu. My son is
Timu, huh?
starting, yeah, my son's starting preschool, and so they have like certain stuff he needs because they go outside every day. They do these like big like weather suits, like all like weather suits. They go out in the snow and the rain, so he had to get boots and like a this big like waterproof suit and stuff. So it's really cool. But yeah, so that's kind of we got all his stuff for the year. So yeah, we're over in that month. Generally don't spend near that much.
Okay, you got to give me the quick Timu review because I feel like some people are huge fans and some people are really skeptical of it.
It seems really sketchy. I don't shop there personally. It's my wife does all the shopping on Temu.
Okay, okay.
But
Well,
I
if you
mean, the stuff that came was seemed fine. I guess.
you bought it and it came and it works. Okay.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay. Next we got health and wellness, and you've got this at 64.45. So I'm assuming this isn't like in like health insurance or anything. This is just like things in the health and wellness category. Do you guys like have a gym membership or what is that?
Yeah, this can be not strictly medical, but like cough syrup, um, you know, Theraflu, like whatever, like stuff like that. You might get like Walgreens. Um, we put like so it's kind of like a hazy category, but we put like my wife's like haircuts, like she buys like makeup. We don't have gym memberships because we have a garage gym, but if I buy something for the gym, it goes in this category too. I do
Okay.
like, I mean, I'm into like working out, so like vitamins, supplements, like whey protein powder, all that stuff would go here because it's not
Okay.
strictly. I don't think that stuff should count as like groceries because it's a little bit in excess of what like I need to actually live month to month. But I value it for my health, so that's what that category is for.
That's cool. Yeah, it does sound like a like it's also kind of like hygiene as well a little bit for you guys, like with like haircuts and stuff. But that is cool that you've like enumerated something that you value, carve out a space for it, and make sure that like you can set aside the money for the things that you value, even though you feel like they're above like normal groceries. So that's cool. Tell me about your home gym a little bit.
Um, yeah, um, out in the garage. Um, just I love it. I don't like to talk to people when I work out. I like want to be like by myself. Um, so it's like that's part of how I like. I guess like get rejuvenated. It's just like for like alone time. I guess that's like a classic introvert thing. But so part of that for me is like when I work out, I want to be by myself. So people don't like bother me in the gym, taking my equipment, that kind of stuff. I haven't worked out in like a
Sure.
commercial gym in years now. So yeah,
Wow. Okay.
I wouldn't do it any other
Um,
way.
so was this like a significant like investment? Did you have to save up for a while, or like I don't know too much about home gyms. Like, is it expensive to set all that stuff up?
Yes, we rolled. I kind of, when we moved into the house 3 years ago, like I had never had a garage or a place I could do this. So finally, we have a big 2 car garage. I can do this. So when we moved into the house, we kind of like put in, we had like in that couple months had like a few big like, I guess like housewarming expenses. And so that was one, I set aside like a few $1,000s to make the garage gym, and I tried to like see my break even on like paying for a gym versus like building the gym. So at this point, like I've saved money by building the gym.
That's awesome. And it sounds like you just prefer it too, right? So like even money aside, like you prefer like the ownership of it and the solitude of it and stuff like that. So that's cool.
Yeah, yeah. My garage door is always open for anybody who wants to come get a workout. Um, Close
Just
personal
not
friends. Yeah, not
just
strangers I
not
don't know.
yeah, and not while you're there because you like to work out alone,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So yeah, yeah. Okay.
A good buddy, a good workout buddy. I don't mind that at all. But
Okay. Okay. Sounds good. Okay, next up we've got gas at 507.99. So I'm assuming this is that driving back and forth to Illinois you mentioned.
yep, yep, it is. A typical month where, and actually like, over in the uh, category where you can like, or the part of my budgeting tool where you can like kind of go back and like reflect and look at all your like past numbers and like see averages over like months. Um, I have been looking at that recently, and our average cost is usually like 350, 320 to 350 ish. That's probably a more
Okay.
typical month.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you commute for work then?
Yeah, I do. I'm driving like 25 minutes up to work, 25 minutes back.
Okay. Okay, so that's a hint. You have to commute to work somewhere. Okay. Gives us a little bit of a hint. You like health stuff, you like working out, you commute to work. Okay. All right, let's look at these last three here. They're just utilities. So we got water, natural gas, and electric. They're at $86, $38, and $269. Anything to mention there on those?
No, all that's pretty typical. Um, in what was that? Are we in August for our electrics? That's probably one of our higher months. We use our natural gas will go up in the winter because we like to do the gas fireplaces. In our house we got two, so that'll offset our electric some. Um, but yeah, I think everything's is pretty standard there. The small town I lived in just increased their, I guess water is technically sewage and trash too, and our trash just went up. So that had been like mid 60s for a long time, and now it's mid 80s. So
Okay. Okay. Cool. All right. Well, let's move on to this next category group. So we have this next group we have is called non-essential, and it looks like you've got maybe a dozen or so things in here. The first one is childcare. It looks like you spent $0 on childcare in the month of August.
yeah, and that's not to say we just abandon our children without childcare. That's not what
Sure.
non-essential means.
Sure. Got it.
Um, this is something I did recently. I'm trying to remember what I called this category before, and maybe they were divvied up a little bit differently. But these are all things that like in a given month I can be zero, and like we're really have been trying to like tighten up on the budget, and so these are things that like coffee shops. I don't drink coffee. My wife drinks coffee. It's something she really really likes. But if we had like a big expense somewhere else, like this could absolutely be zero. She could choose not to like go to Starbucks and get coffee for like 1 month. So all these things, we like will inevitably we enjoy spending money in, but they can be zero. And while we're really trying to tighten down over the last few months, I call it like non-essential, and you kind of like track the total like 165 for like all these categories combined for the month is like pretty low when you look at like what's in the like all these things that are included. Um, so like these are ones that we can really just like drive down our total monthly spending by just saying like these categories we're just gonna really do bare bones, or just not spend in these categories like in given months.
Yeah, for sure. This looks like a tremendous amount of discipline on your guys' part because there are a lot of things in here that usually people spend a lot of money on. Like you've got childcare, coffee shops, entertainment, gifts and generosity, home improvements, lawn and garden, personal spending money for you and your wife, it looks like, toys and kids activities, um, professional PT. Wonder what that is. That might be a little clue there. Travel and vacation, and then reimbursements. And just for those who might have been concerned about your $0 for childcare, I do want to commend you that your top spending in all of these is for kids and toys and kids activities. So you must love your children then.
Yes, yes, we do love our children. And my wife does stay home, so that cuts our our prior child care costs a lot. We're not doing like nannies or anything during the day, or no like daycares or anything like that. Well, I guess we're doing preschool. My son just started preschool, but that's that's a fixed category we'll get to later, I guess.
Okay. Talk to me a little bit about personal spending money. So how do you and your wife kind of treat that category? Because I know some people who love the idea of like splitting up some money for personal categories. Some people who like enumerating that money in other categories. How did you guys kind of come to that decision, and what does that look like for you guys?
It ends up being like a really like a pretty small amount because I personally I like to have like more smaller categories, to like understand where all the money's actually going to versus like I mean the coffee shops is my wife, like that could go in her personal spending. Like the gym stuff could go in my personal spending. Um, or even like clothing, right? You could just lump all that in to be like, if I buy clothes for myself, like I'm just gonna like do this big personal spending, you know, budget line, and just like all the stuff that's for me goes in there. Um, but I think a lot of that stuff that like I am doing it, getting it for me or doing it for me, it's like put into these other categories. And I think that like I think it helps to save money because like in the clothing, it's like okay, well, like we're trying to spend like we have to spend all this money on my son this month for new stuff for daycare or sorry for preschool. So we're not gonna buy anything new for us this month, or like I need like new like I dress pants for work, and so we kind of like I guess there's more of like a sharing attitude of the money because like we're all like working out of like one category for stuff we both might need. So the personal spending ends up being like it could be like something really small, like in September this past month, I bought like a board game. Right, it's like purely for fun. It's something I enjoy, and I was just like I want a board game. Like it's something I don't have to have, but yeah, so that would be something that like comes out of my personal spending.
Yeah, that's great. Was that a board game, the 1087 here, or was that in a different month?
That was this is August. That was September.
Okay, I was
I
like
can probably
1087
see what my
for a board game.
1087 was. Although the board game I did buy was only $14.
Oh, it's pretty good for a board game.
Yeah, part of that $10 was like fantasy football style betting on the Olympics, where we picked certain people to see how many would you picked your athlete and they got gold, silver, or bronze. You got points for that. So
Okay,
that was
how
probably
how
fun.
did how did you? I'm curious. Who did you pick, and how did you do in that?
I fared very poorly because I picked athletes I like from track and field, which is my favorite sport, and turns out that's not a good pick. It's an okay pick, but a lot of those are like maybe max can get one or two gold medals. And we found out you got to go for swimmers. You have to go. There's a couple other sports where you can like get like a bunch of gold medals, like gymnastics. So you go for the high volume sports, not the stars necessarily.
Got it. Got it. Yeah, I feel like swimmers are always the ones that like. I mean, Phelps has like what 26 or something medals,
Yeah,
and
something incredible.
nobody ever comes close to that. Cool. Okay. Is anything else in these categories that you want to highlight here? Let's see. Entertainment at $18. Lawn and garden at 0. Professional PT. What is the professional PT?
I'm trying to think of some examples. That August at $8, I bought a little device that helps you measure range of motion for the jaw. Um, yeah, so I
Okay. Range of motion for the jaw. So I'm assuming we're getting a little bit into your work here.
yes,
Does
am I allowed to say
PT stands for physical
physical
therapy?
therapy? Yeah, so
Okay.
I treat some like TMJ, not at like my full time job, but on the side I do some like cash pay PT. And so when I see TMJ patients, like which is your jaw joint, that it's a more specific way to measure like any limitations in like your jaw range of motion.
Got it.
So
Okay. So it sounds like you have like a full-time PT job, but you also do stuff on the side. So I'm curious, like, what does that look like income-wise? Do you have like targets for that income, or is this just something you're doing on the side for kind of fun, or like how do those two kind of fit into the picture for you?
yeah, not the side. I would like to hustle more at it and like maybe do like some marketing and try to like build like a client base. But right now it's just I have some like word of mouth. Yeah, I'm like a Google business profile, so like people would just randomly like find me. I saw like two different patients in the past week, just like randomly. Well, one of them is one of them just randomly saw my business profile, called and asked, and like I could see her like same day, like on Saturday. So that's like a big appeal for some people. Um, and the other was you know just through somebody like who knew me, like called me and said like, "Hey, can you see my wife? Can you like, get her in?" I was like, "Sure." So just
Okay. The fact that you just put out a Google listing and you get calls, like that's actually great. Like if you don't have a budget for marketing, you're already getting like calls just from people finding you that way. I feel like that's pretty impressive.
yeah, so I'm spending like $0 on marketing. Yeah,
But if you were to start spending like this line item is where it would go, right? The professional PT.
yeah, the marketing. I'm trying to think what else has gone in there in the past. There seems, and we have a couple other categories for PT type stuff. So it's yeah, this is just kind of random, like I guess business expenses or stuff like that. Like there's some equipment I use, but it's not much. It's pretty minimal.
Okay, cool. Well, before we move on to this next category group, is there anything else you want to talk about in any of these categories?
Um, sure. Our non-essentials. I would like to point out that over the last 12, maybe it's 18, let's see, at least 12 months, we've averaged $0 and 0 cents a month on vacation.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay. So you have a category, but you just never use it.
We'd
So
like to
what is
again. I guess technically, like, maybe the extra gas, like going up to Illinois to visit family, could go under like travel and vacation. I think it's kind of hard to separate that out. Like when you're like looking at your expenses, like, oh, that gas station, like, were we traveling up to Illinois then, or like, was the gas already
sure?
full when we left? I think it's too like cumbersome, so I just put it all in like under gas. But this is specifically like, hey, let's load up and go somewhere like on vacation. Um, and for several reasons that we'll probably get to in the next big category, we decided that like not going on vacation for like like a year, maybe a couple years, few years, is like one of the absolute easiest ways to save money for us, because you literally just you don't have to do anything. You just choose not to go on vacation,
Yeah,
and I mean that could be like $3,000 you save that year, or 5,000, 8,000 if you go on a few vacations. And I was like, that's way more money saved than like pinching pennies at the grocery store for a whole year. Just like
for sure.
don't go on one vacation. You save the same amount of money. So it's also just I don't know, three young kids. I think we've kind of dialed back on some of our bigger trips that we used to do. So
Cool. Well, that's cool that you've like you made those priority decisions, right? You've looked at vacations and said like, yeah, vacations can be fun, but like that versus like pinching pennies and groceries and everything for like a whole year, like we'd much rather enjoy not doing the vacations and having a little bit more flexibility in those other areas. So it's cool that you've, kind of laid out your priorities, you know what you prioritize and you act accordingly. Cool. Yeah, again, I'm seeing a lot of discipline in here, like the fact that you've kind of saved in areas, have been really intentional in areas. It's a lot of discipline. So well done. All right, so let's move down to emergency necessities. So down here we've got fees and expenses. We've got medical. We've got car maintenance and repairs, home services and repairs, and investments. So yeah, fees and expenses has $0 in it. Medical, you've got 645.40. So I'm curious, does that include like insurance, or is that on top of insurance? Like what does medical look like?
Yeah, my insurance is taken out, before it drops in my bank account. So I don't really account for that in the budget because you just like never see that money. So these are specifically like copays, procedures, and stuff like that.
Got it. Okay. And then car maintenance and repairs, it looks like you spent 135.46. Um, so what's the car situation besides buying all of your oil in bulk at Costco?
Yeah, that was yeah, let's see what in September. I did some like random maintenance stuff. I bought new wiper blades. Um, I bought like a brake light for one car and a headlight for another car. Um, and I changed my oil, so I had to go buy just like the oil filters. And it turns out whoever changed my oil last time, because I took it somewhere, they broke something in my oil filter cap, so I had to buy a new oil filter cap.
Wow.
Yeah.
So
So
are you at this point like I'm just doing this myself for the rest
yes.
of my
So
life?
then I double down. I'm gonna change my own oil. Go buy a bunch of oil at Costco. Now I feel obligated to change my oil to get my money's worth out of that oil. So
Have you
yeah,
done it yet?
yeah. So I was changing my oil when I realized that something was broken in the oil cap filter.
All right, and how hard is it? Is it worth the work?
Yes, I think it's. I mean, I think if you're doing it regularly, yes. And like I rotate my tires too, so I just like do it all at once. So I did it. It took me like once I got through like the new part, like the tires and the oil takes me like just over an hour. Um, and I think honestly it takes like just as much time out of my day to like go somewhere, wait, or like drop off my car and then like have to go back later. I'd rather just do it out in my driveway.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
a great point. Also, your kids can probably run around and like have fun, kind of watching you and learning from you.
yeah, yeah. Show them. My son would be interested. My 4 year old, he would really get interest in that with like all the wrench and all that stuff. Like he loves that type of
Nice,
stuff.
nice. He gets a hold of wrench or something, and that's his big contribution.
Yeah, yeah.
Nice. Okay, so next we got home services and repairs. We got 453.90.
Ugh, ugh, that one hurt. This is like almost like vast majority of months is zero. And again, I guess I didn't like totally say, but like it's exactly what it sounds like. Emergency necessities. These are things like when they come up, like you have to spend money, right? Um, with a car, I guess I'm like working hard to try to like do some things myself to like lower the cost. But like, I have like I guess like the wiper blades. Do I have to have them? No. But like, I like to do some like regular maintenance on the car, like upkeep things. So it goes there. But we haven't really had a lot of big things for the house. Um, yeah, our home repairs, I think, like we didn't from January through July, we didn't have any expenses. Like no
And
big
then
house things
August.
happened. Yeah. And so
So
that
was this like an appliance that went out, or was this something?
um yes. We had too much like voltage like come through our heat pump and knocked our air out. And it
Wow.
was and it was kind of like it was kind of weird. They were like I'm not really happy with how it turned out, but they were like, "Oh, this part's under warranty, but we're still going to charge you for the labor." Okay,
Hmm.
seemed kind of weird.
Yeah.
Uh,
What's the point of a warranty if? Huh.
I
Interesting.
don't know, but it was actually over the warranty. It was like a month over, and they still gave it to me, so I didn't want to like push back too hard. Um, and then I bought a surge protector to like keep this from happening again, and like put it on, and then smoke detector randomly like would not stop beeping. I almost smashed into 1,000 pieces, and then yeah, I had to buy a new one.
Okay. So you mentioned that you moved into the house recently or like a couple years ago and you had some of those like big ticket items like the gym and stuff like that. I'm curious, like, was this like your first home ownership or did you own a home before? And like, what has it kind of been like? What all have you done with it? Like, has it been expensive or does it sound like these big costs are more of an outlier for this house?
Um, the house was pretty move-in ready. We had to do like very little when we moved in. Um, the gym was again just like a kind of a personal splurge. Trying to think what anything else would be. My wife has like done some like painting because like you can kind of see like our walls are kind of like dark, um, and so it just kind of feels like kind of like a dungeon in certain areas. So we're like slowly. We haven't got to this room yet, but we're slowly like going through and like trying to like paint everything like a bright color. Um, so I mean, but other than that, we did our heat pump went out like 2 years ago. Like it's now the warranty is just kind of running out. But we did upgrade that like 2 years ago. Yeah, like after being in the house for about a year, so that was a big expense. But yeah, other than that,
Cool. All right. Well, we've got one last category in this group, and it's investments. And it looks like you've got $100 there. Is that something you spend that out to like an investment account somewhere?
yeah, I'm not in. Again, it probably doesn't fit great here. I'm just not sure where else to put it. Um, I guess I could probably, yeah, I could probably put in non-essentials or something. But yeah, there's just like, to like, I need like when there's a transaction, like, hey, I move money into like a high yield savings account, into like a brokerage account, or like a Roth IRA. Like, this is where that transaction goes.
All right. Well, I think we're down to your last category group, but there's quite a few categories in here. So these are called fixed necessities, and this is where we've got mortgage, the big one there. We've got some student loans. It looks like for you and your wife, daycare, internet. Why don't we just start from the top and kind of work our way down? So mortgage, you've got 2,769.94. So, I'm curious, like, do you escrow? What type of rate did you get on this? Like, tell me about your mortgage.
Oh yes, the mortgage. So this is where our kind of total monthly money out um, kind of gets a little askew. And I don't want to speak specifically to like my income, but my wife's at home, stays at home, so we're on one income. And Dave Ramsey would tell me that my mortgage is too expensive for how much I make as far as percent of my take home pay. He would say it's much
Got
too
it.
expensive. But we made a really intentional decision when we moved here 3 years ago. We bought a family house that my grandfather built. My mom grew up here. It was passed to my uncle. He bought it out of the estate, and then he sold it to us. And it's just like we're in the town we want to be in. My parents are 4 minutes down the road. We get this like house that has so much like family history. We have some land which is like super awesome. Like we want to be here forever. So we decided, okay, like this is the thing we want to go big on. Like we want the house. So that means it's going to be like outsized in our budget, which means like saying no to other things like vacation, for example. So it was an intentional decision. Like if it was any other house, I don't think we would have um, taken on a mortgage this big. It's kind of big for us for what we wanted, especially compared to our last house. But um, like budget, all right, we're going to be paying the same amount every month for the next 30 years. And then our income will go up. And, my wife will go back to work at some point when all the kids are in school. So it's just like a season where we're kind of like tightening down in lots of other categories so that we can do this one thing. So, and we got in at 2.5%
There it
interest rate,
is.
which is
There it
like,
is. Well done.
yes. So
um,
any other time in history probably could not have even afforded to get in the house because it would have been too much if you had like a 4%, 5% interest rate.
Super cool. So you got this like really like once in a lifetime opportunity, like both in time and the location, and you just went for it. And you said like, sure, it's going to be maybe outsized compared to like what some people say you should do percentage wise, but like we're going to make sacrifices in other places because we really, really value this. I love that. I love the intentionality and the willingness to make it work.
Yeah. And yeah, so that's our story with the mortgage.
All right. So next up, we got student loans. It looks like you and your wife maybe both had student loans, although yours is at 33.63 and hers is at $0. So it doesn't seem like a lot of student loans.
Yes, the government is like trying every way they can to make student loans like negligible, like and as small as possible.
Okay.
Um, so we're basically, putting it at the lowest amount possible, and then we can choose to put more towards it if we want. But by just like signing up for the repayment plan that's the lowest possible, it increases cash flow if we need it because we
Okay.
can choose to put the lowest amount. And so for me personally, I work at a non-for-profit, so I'm eligible for the public service loan forgiveness program. So after 10 years of qualifying payments, the rest of my debt will be forgiven. So the name of the game is lowest monthly payment possible.
Got it. Okay. So just low as possible and then get it forgiven eventually.
Right. And then my wife's, she does have a low payment, but we will have to pay that off. So at some point, when we feel like the time is right, we can put like more money towards it or not, just depending on where we want to put our money.
Okay. Cool. Okay. Daycare, preschool, we've got it $445 a month.
Yeah, there was a startup cost with that. I guess some like start of year fees, but it's $325 a month. That'll be going
Okay.
forward. But yeah, there's some extra stuff the first month.
Okay. And daycare is usually like a pretty good like per hour cost, right? Daycare is like cheaper than like childcare would be.
Yes. So like this daycare, it used to be we had our kids in daycare, and then my wife stayed home, and they were at home for 10 months, and now like so I just continued the category, made it a slash preschool as well because my son is starting preschool. So it's more like education based, I guess, than just like babysitting. But um, it's they're doing like kindergarten prep and all this stuff, and it's only 4 days a week, 8 to 12. So he's home the rest of the day.
Cool. All right, insurance internet, we've got it $69.74. Seems about normal. Life insurance, we've got it $47.52. So do you have a policy like on you or you and your wife, or what
Yeah,
is the
both.
life insurance? Okay.
Yeah, that's a personal policy, and then I have like a supplemental one at work, I think. But
Okay. Cool. And then we got biblical ministries at $100 a month.
yep, yeah, that's a missionary that we support.
Okay. Cool. And then we got phone at 71.79 per month.
Yep, that's our phone bill plus some like iCloud storage.
Ah, yes. It's always fun when I do these to see people have like a line item for iCloud storage, and then you know exactly how many photos they take by how much they pay for iCloud.
Yep.
It's also fun when people have subscriptions and I get to guess, do they have Netflix? Do they have the Hulu bundle? All based on the price. So,
Yeah.
um, okay, speaking of subscriptions, let's move on down here. It looks like the rest of yours are all either memberships or subscriptions or registration. So,
Yeah,
if you
the
just
the
go ahead.
the mortgage through, I guess, phone, that's all fixed monthly. And then once you get like starting auto insurance down to the end, that's fixed but less than once a month. So
Oh,
those
cool.
are
Okay.
ones that we will like every month like putting money towards, so it's there when that month comes up.
Got it. Okay, so auto insurance, you put $130 in, but you probably only pay your auto insurance like whatever you 6 months or so.
Yeah, 6 months.
Okay, and then the Amazon membership, you do that probably yearly.
Yep.
Okay, and that's 1256. And this is great because like when you budget, you can make sure you're ready for those yearly expenses, but by going yearly, you save money on them, right? Like Amazon's cheaper when you go yearly, right?
Right.
So it's awesome that you have that intentionality. TurboTax is at 1476. Car registration at 2408. Your YNAB subscription at 780 or 875. Malpractice insurance is looks like you put $4, but you spent 173.
Yeah, that was I paid it that month. Um and I don't know why I think I just miscalculated it. I was putting a little bit too much every month.
Okay.
So like when the actual activity came in, like that's how much it was for the year. And so I only had $4 more I had to put towards it for this to like hit my number. But
Nice.
it'd be 173 divided by 12 is what I'm doing going forward.
Got it. Okay. And then you've got your wife's malpractice, and then there it is. There's the Costco membership.
Mm,
What makes dreams come true?
yeah.
And then down at the bottom, we've just got PT memberships and PT license says. So I guess the membership is different from the license because the membership's like a national group or something.
Yeah, I'm part of like some professional organizations, so that goes there. Um, and then the license is what it costs for us to maintain our license in the state that we're in. It's not a secret still, and
We're
and
almost to the end. So if you want to
yeah,
start slowly revealing,
yeah, state of Kentucky, and then I'm also licensed in Ohio because I do some teaching up there. So
got it. Okay, cool. Well, we've officially made it. Is there anything else you want to say about any of these categories we missed before we let you introduce yourself?
yeah, I don't know. I think that's it.
Okay, cool. Well, I want to say it was really fun to get to look through your numbers and like, yeah, it seems like you guys know what you want and you live your life according to it. Like you make a plan according to what you want. Like multiple times you said like we value this more than we value that, so we've chosen to do this. And I just love that intentionality, right? A lot of people who aren't budgeting yet, they probably just kind of fly by the seat of their pants or just spend as they want to in the moment, but they're not zoomed out and having that more like intentional big picture plan. So it was really cool to see. So well done.
Yeah, and this is probably a really good month. So we have some that aren't quite as good, um, but yeah, showing off a good month here. I think I'm the natural saver. My wife's the natural spender. So um,
What is that like kind of working together on the budget then? Like what is that? Because I know oftentimes like, you know, it's very common for like when couples are budgeting together for like one person to take kind of ownership or, you know, for them to have like a unique way of working together on it. Like how have you and your wife kind of like done this like success essentially?
yeah, she doesn't like sitting down like nitty gritty going through like all the numbers. Like doesn't she doesn't really like that. She's just like give me like I do all the categorizing stuff, and she's like, give me the highlights and tell me like what I need to change, and then she's pretty good about doing it. Like once I tell her, so it's good motivation for me to like stay on top of keeping things organized because then I can see okay we're spending too much. I can tell her like hey like don't eat out like we got like 40 more bucks or something this month, so use it wisely. And she's like pretty good about like just following my lead since she knows I'm looking at the numbers pretty closely. So
Cool.
and even
That's
she likes kind of old school cash method. So like for like the student kids like toys and activities, a lot of times like we'll do that as like cash, and she'll keep her receipts because then she like okay this money is in my pocket, and when it's out, it's like okay we're done doing stuff in this category.
cool. Yeah, that's awesome. Sounds like you guys have found a way that works well for you guys. Okay, cool. So we've made it through all your categories. So this is the part of your show where you can finally actually introduce yourself. So if you want to give us like your name, where you live, I guess what you do for work, all those things.
All right, my name is Heath Christ. I live in Wilmore, Kentucky, which is a really small town outside of Lexington. Wilmore is a place that is near and dear to our host heart. I would hope still. Zach and I grew up in Wilmore together. I'm a physical therapist, and yeah. What else? What do you want to know?
I mean, that's pretty good. We usually, at the end of the show, we give you a chance to kind of share a piece of advice, maybe to those people who are listening who maybe are just starting budgeting or maybe they're considering budgeting. You know, what has budgeting kind of done for you? What has it meant to you? And what advice would you give to somebody who's just getting into it?
Find somebody that's good at it and ask them lots of questions. Um, and this isn't even like a plug for you, but Zach has, I mean, you personally helped me a lot with my budget. Like making the categories, kind of like any like troubleshooting, like, just like how many times have I called you like asking for advice on like how to get like the numbers to work or like how to run certain things. I mean,
Yeah, yeah, quite a few. I mean, it's gone down over time, but at the beginning, yeah, like there's this learning curve, and I feel like, yeah, we were able to like get over it together, which was fun.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think like having help at the beginning with your budget is good. Also, just having like friends who like budget. It's not like doesn't have to be like a hierarchy, but like, um, I mean, just like big financial decisions. Like, I was like, dude, Zach, like, I'm thinking about buying this house in Wilmore. It's like a big step for us. Like, dude, can we like sit down and like run numbers together? Like, sure. And like we've done that like vice versa, just like for things that you're doing. It's just like I don't know. It's nice to have somebody who can like just you can bounce ideas off each other with like big financial moves or like where you're gonna put your money. Um, and I don't know. It's like with like I think your physical health, right? If the people around you are talking about like you know nutrition and eating right and like what they did like for their workouts and their exercises, like I think you're much more likely to be interested in like pursuing those things if the people around you are doing it. Um, I think it's the same with finances, but like oddly we like don't talk about it a lot, and like
Mm.
certainly like this is a very unique situation where just like hey sharing like hey these are my monthly expenses, this is how I do things, these are real numbers for our costs. People just don't talk about finance, and instead they just like look at other people who seem to like be have nice things in big houses and like oh well I should probably go spend a lot of money to have what they have too, but
Yeah, that's great. And oftentimes that's deceiving, right? Because the people who maybe appear like they have a lot of money are maybe really stretching themselves, right? And so, yeah, I think like there's that concept of like you'll become the average of the five people you hang out with most or whatever, right? I think that idea of like, if you have a culture in your friend group that you talk about physical health, you talk about your financial health, you talk about all these things, like, yeah, it just kind of helps everybody get on the right track. So, thank you again for coming on. Thanks for sharing that. I will put in a plug here for My Budget Coach. If you are listening to this and thinking about creating a budget, My Budget Coach is kind of the best place to get started because not only do you get the app to work on and to build your budget, but you also get a coach to work with. And we think that that guidance and encouragement is something that really people are lacking. And once you have that, it really is a game changer in kind of creating a budget, sticking with it, and living intentionally with your money. So thanks for coming on the show, Heath, and to everybody else, we'll see you all next time.
yeah, thanks for having me.